All right, public hearings and recommendations to council. First up, we have an annexation petition and plan of services for approximately 3.95 acres located along Blackman Road. Ratesh Rahendra and Rakesh Patel are the applicants. Mr. Donovan, hello.
Good evening, Chair Averwater and members of the Planning Commission. The first item we have before you tonight is an annexation area that consists of one approximately 2-acre parcel that is situated east of Blackman Road. There is one single-family detached residence on the subject property. In addition to that parcel, there's also approximately 1,300 linear feet of Blackman Road right-of-way running from this property to the south near the intersection with Manson Pike and Burnt Knob Road. We took the right-of-way portion before the Rutherford County Highway Commission on June 23rd of this year, and they reviewed and consented to the annexation of this segment of Blackman Road. The total annexation study area is approximately 3.95 acres. In a few moments, we'll discuss the companion rezoning request for this, which is PCD for the Shelton Plaza PCD designation for the approximately 2-acre parcel. The annexation is within our urban growth boundary. It is contiguous to the existing city limits on both the northern and southern boundaries. It is also within the city's service infill line. Staff has worked with other city departments to formulate a plan to serve the annexation area if it were to be annexed. And that has been included in your packet. Due to its close proximity to the existing city limits, it will be relatively easy to extend services, with the lone exception being sanitary sewer service, which the developer will need to work with the property to the east on extension of sanitary sewer to the property. And all of those, the timeline for that extension is unknown and will be up to the developer to pay for that mainline extension as well. Staff is supportive of the annexation request for the following reasons. The subject property is contiguous to the existing city limits. It is located within the urban growth boundary and within the service infill area. Services can be extended to the property upon annexation, and it fills a gap of Blackman Road right-of-way that is currently in the unincorporated county, which creates efficiencies and reduces confusion. The Planning Commission will need to conduct a public hearing on this matter and formulate a recommendation to City Council.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Donovan. Is the applicant here in civil team? Okay, do you have a presentation? No. Okay.
It'll be for the zoning.
Oh, perfect, yep, just for zoning, okay. We will open the public hearing. Anybody who wishes to speak on this annexation petition, please come forward. And when you come forward, if you'll state your name and your address for the record, and you have 3 minutes.
All right.
Do you have it or you want me to?
My name is Jared Gee. I live at 5725 Eaglemont Drive near the proposed Shelton Plaza development on Blackman Road. I'm here to respectfully voice mine and my neighbors and members of Shelton Square's opposition to the annexation and zoning request. Our neighborhood and surrounding areas have gathered over 200 signatures from residents who share the same concerns, which I have with me. Kind of going over my concerns. First, traffic and safety. Blackman Road is already congested during school drop-off, pickup, and commuter hours. The ongoing road expansion project only adds to the challenge. This development is projected to generate 541 vehicle trips per day, yet there's no turn lane planned, and the road has not been widened to handle the additional load. Adding a 14,000 square foot commercial building will mean more cars, more delays, and greater risk for school buses, families, and pedestrians. Second, the neighborhood character and property values. This property does not fit the surrounding area. On Eaglemont Drive and surrounding Shelton Square Estates homes, the average home price is nearly $1 million. And residents have invested heavily to preserve that quality of life. By contrast, the new development across the street on Blackman, the homes are smaller family residences. And on Mason, Shelton Grove, the development combines commercial with townhouses. Those areas were planned and zoned differently from the beginning. Placing another large commercial project here right next to a high-value residential homes will lower property values, increase noises, light pollution, and erode the very character that makes our community desirable. Every new commercial project like this chips away at the stability and identity of our neighborhoods. A question that I have, and we can get to it later, is how does the city plan to account for the long-term impact on its tax base and budget if a development reduces surrounding home values and in turn lowers property tax revenues? Third, the infrastructure and stormwater. Our roads, water, and stormwater systems are already under strain. Adding a stormwater pond here is not a great solution. The plots on Eaglemont is actually graded lower than the property under consideration, and although there is an easement, developers have not addressed the reality that additional water will flow towards our side of the community. My home directly backs up to this area, and flooding risk will increase. Removing large trees to make way for development only worsens the problem and reducing natural absorption and stability. For these reasons, I respectfully ask that you deny the annexation and zoning request. At the very least, conduct a neighborhood compatibility review before moving forward. Thank you for your time and listening to the voices of the families who live here and will be most directly affected.
Okay, thank you.
Do you want me to give you this list and comments?
If you want to pass it to our
you.
council, that'd be great. And I think you timed that because you had 3 seconds left. That was impressive. And just a reminder, this specific public hearing is for the annexation and the plan of services. The next public hearing, we will get into more of the engineering side of things. So we won't address those specific questions this time, but we will on the next one. Okay. Was there? Go ahead.
Just to be clear, he would be able to talk next one.
Yeah, absolutely. You can speak again. You can start from the top if you want to. Anyone else who wishes to speak on the annexation and plan of services? Okay. Seeing none, we will close the public hearing. Anything? Planning Commission? If not, I will accept a motion on the plan of services and annexation. I'm not here to motion, so you guys are going to have to do it.
I'll make a motion that it's approved as, the annexation is approved as called.
Oh, we're setting it to council, right? Yep. Subject to all staff comments, all that. Is that a motion?
Yes.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. Motion and a second. Ms. Jaco, please call the roll.
Mr. Harris.
Aye.
Mr. Rollins.
Aye.
Mr. Wright.
Aye.
Chair Abelwater.
Aye. Okay. Motion passes. Okay, next up, we have the zoning application for approximately 2.06 acres located along Blackman Road to be zoned PCD simultaneous with annexation. Ratesh Patel is the applicant. Mr. Donovan.
Thank you again, Chair Averwater. So this is the rezoning portion of for this property on the east side of Blackman Road. As far as adjacent land uses and zoning, it's primarily residential zoning surrounding this. To the north is a single-family detached residential subdivision that is the Shelton Square PRD. The villages PRD and PCD, which has single-family detached and commercial out parcels, is also to the north of this property. To the east is Sheldon Grove, which has both attached and detached single-family residential housing, and is actually part of the PUD for Sheldon Grove. To the south and west are single-family detached homes that are zoned medium-density residential in unincorporated Rutherford County. As far as the zoning of the subject property, the PCD is proposing a 14,000 square foot single-story brick and stone multi-tenant building. Currently, it's designed to hold 2 tenants, one of which is proposed as a dental office, and the other is currently in the pattern book shown as a daycare. And let me bring up the concept plan. All right, but those are just what they're currently proposed. There's an extensive permitted use list that I'll discuss a little bit, included in the pattern book itself. The site plan, or the plan, will include 63 parking spaces to be built as one phase now. If you recall from our earlier meeting, that was proposed as 2 phases. That's been condensed and will be completed all at once. The Planning Commission also noted some concern about the dumpster at the time and its location. It is just adjacent to the building on the south side and tucked behind the front facade, which our zoning ordinance would require it to not be between, our design guidelines would require it to not be between the building itself and the public right of way, but there was some concern about its orientation at the prior meeting. Additionally, as far as landscaping and open space goes, there's streetscaping proposed along Blackman Road, and then a type D buffer along the northern and eastern property lines, with a type A buffer along the southern property line. The type A buffer was provided there more as a means this area is called out as business park in the future land use map. We'll talk about that later. Staff's thinking was additional properties developing to the south would likely develop in a similar manner. Blackman Road itself is going to provide the access in two locations, and then there's also a cross-access easement being provided to the south to permit cross-access between the potential developments in the future. As well, the applicant has also made updates to the pattern book. If you remember, the public infrastructure team was wanting the applicant to commit to designing the major thoroughfare plan updates to the roadway. That commitment is in our pattern book now, so they'll be designing those. Those aren't being required to be built. That was after some input from public infrastructure that they would just design those. And I mentioned that we would discuss the allowed uses. I'm going to scroll down so you can see those. So this is modeled after our CF zoning district, which is commercial fringe. There are some exceptions to that. Drive-throughs have been expressly prohibited there. There are some allowances where they could be allowed under the commercial fringe. Gasoline and fuel cells are also prohibited, along with vape shops, tattoo parlors. Schools wouldn't have been allowed to be parked on this site. And then the Planning Commission had some concerns about liquor stores as an allowed use, and that's been removed from the allowed uses table. The general allowed uses range from retail type uses to restaurants and office uses. So there are no exceptions indicated in the pattern book, and there are none within it after staff reviewed it. As far as the future land use plan goes, as I mentioned earlier, this is identified as business park, which is intended for 20 to 30% open space, extensive landscape perimeters, enhanced entry signage, and it is intended to be on sites that generally range from 50 to 250 acres. It's part of a larger area that was indicated as business park. The comprehensive plan indicates OG, OGR, CM, and PCD and PND as compatible districts. We feel that the CF, or that the PCD is, while it's modeled after CF, really fits the intent of the business park future land use categorization, as it allows for those neighborhood services as well as office developments that are looked, and medical uses that are looked for in that business park future land use criteria. Staff's recommendation: staff is supportive of the rezoning request for the following reasons. The rezoning request aligns with the future land use plan map designation of business park by incorporated medical, office, and limited retail and service uses. The proposed PCD provides additional opportunities to provide commercial services to one of the fastest growing areas of the city. This will also help reduce vehicle trips on the street network by bringing services closer to where people live. The plan includes landscape buffers to help mitigate any negative impacts on the residential properties to the north and east. Planning Commission will need to conduct a public hearing on this matter and make a recommendation to City Council. I'll be happy to answer any questions, and Mr. Clyde Roundtree has a presentation for the Planning Commission as well.
Thank you, Mr. Donovan.
I got a question.
Sure.
All right, I've got a question. Is the business park zone in the future land use plan because of the proximity to the Middle Tennessee Electric property, or why would this be business park on Blackman Road? Just curious.
Mr. Blomley, do you have any insight into that?
Yeah, Mr. Wright, to be quite honest, I don't know why that is categorized as business park, because the future land use map was adopted after the Shelton Grove plan was approved by City Council to the east of this property. So, you know, quite frankly, I don't know if that's an oversight or if it was intentional. So I don't have a good answer for you on that.
Okay, then my next question, because my wife's a teacher at Poplar Hill, so I drive this road a lot. How far up does that median go, the new median that's between the, I guess it's the northbound and southbound lanes of Blackman Road, how far up does that go towards this property?
That, I'm not sure of, Councilman Wright. I would have to look at those plans. I haven't seen the plans for the Blackman Road.
The reason why I ask is it going to force this property to be right in, right out? Because if that median comes up Blackman Road a ways, you're not going to be able to turn left into it anyway from Blackman Road.
And I can answer this. I've been familiar and heard the discussion around this enough. The tapers for the section that we're improving of Blackman Road end just both at the southern property line here. Okay. So that taper, this piece would remain the 2-lane.
So it's right after the 4-lane?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Donovan, can you pull up the uses again?
Yes, sir.
I know last time we talked about possible coffee shop, daycare, a couple of things that I just wanted to check on the uses. Also, how many separate buildings are going to be in this unit? Is it going to be 3, 4, 2 separate?
So as it's currently proposed, it is shown as one building. Now it is a multi-tenant, what we call a commercial center. So they're proposing 2 spaces, but it could potentially have more if they broke up the larger space that's intended for a daycare differently.
So it could potentially be maybe a max of 5 total. But applicant just, or the developer just said a max of 4 tenant spaces, depending on how it's broken down.
I guess that was kind of my concern on traffic and how many separate businesses are going to be functioning out of this unit. That's kind of what I was thinking.
Okay. Well, we can hear Mr. Roundtree's presentation and open the public hearing. We'll close the public hearing, and then we can discuss those items. Hi, Mr. Roundtree.
Hey, Chair Warner. Thank you for the opportunity, Chairman. My name is Clyde Roundtree with Huddleston Steel Engineering. I'm accompanied by Bill Huddleston with Huddleston Steel Engineering, and also Carrie Heidman is here from the Barnett Design Studios. So the architectural, if there's any questions about architecture, she's here to help us walk through that as well. Richard did a great job kind of covering the project. I'll just kind of go through the highlights if I could. Let's see here. As was mentioned, you know, we are asking for annexation from the county. We feel like this is an area that is very interesting for Murfreesboro by being adjacent to the current city limits. And we feel like it's something that would bring revenue to the city of Murfreesboro. And I think this strategy, whether we know exactly the origin of the business park, we do know that it'll help us bring some tax base to this area and also bring some local neighborhood services, which is critical at this location. And this is where this is where it's shown. That dark blue is the business park from the 2035 comprehensive plan, and if there's a gas station further down the street, closer down to Burnt Knob, and so I'm sure that gas station services the local community as well. So really, the strategy is to provide something that would, like as was mentioned by Richard, take off some pressure from people having to drive across town to possibly dental care, drive across town for child care. So you'll have different kind of commercial nodes throughout residential developments, and that's really our anticipation. Mr. Patel is here as well. He's going to bring his pediatric dentistry business from Clarksville to this location, so he'll be the anchor tenant basically for the development, and that was a big catalyst for this design. As was mentioned by Richard, the infrastructure is adjacent to us, so it's really not a big effort to pull infrastructure to the property. The roadway network, Blackman Road will be seeing some improvements, and as Matthew mentioned, and Richard mentioned, we're going to be participating in the design component, making sure we have adequate room on our side to accommodate any future expansion and alignment of Blackman Road. That was part of our whole process, working with planning staff. Aerial photograph, it just basically shows that the PCD to the or the PRD to the east is not developed yet, but it does show the Sheldon Square subdivision, the homes that are directly related to this project. And I mention that because we did our best to situate the building and the playground and the detention area as further separation, not only with a type D buffer, but also creating distance between the back of those homes and our development. As was mentioned, it's basically a 14,000 square foot building with ample parking. We're parking about 1 to 220 square spaces per foot, which is ample parking for the potential uses. Originally, we'd asked to phase the parking lot so that if we ended up having a use that didn't require as much parking, we could go ahead and build the parking as necessary. But after working with planning staff, they just asked to go ahead and do it all in one phase. So the property will be amply parked for the size square footage of the building that we have. As was mentioned, there's a cut through at the bottom portion on the southern side. That's a crossover, anticipating that properties to the south will go along that business park kind of concept and continue to be kind of residentially oriented commercial developments. The green space on the top, right next to the building on the north side, is really the projected playground for the child care center. And what is represented in blue is the detention pond that would be servicing the development. The architecture, Carrie can speak more to this if you have questions about that, but it's all masonry product, a combination of brick and stone. There would be a defined foundation, undulating roof lines, undulating front. So a lot of the required architectural characteristics of buildings in Murfreesboro, this would be consistent with that. More than likely, the dental clinic will be on one end, so the signage will be the dental clinic. On the other end will be the child care center. So really, it is a two-use building. At least that's what we're anticipating architecturally at this point. And as Richard mentioned, landscape-wise, the Type D buffer provides us with the solid double row of evergreens along the northern side, as well as on the eastern side, and also a row of shrubbery. So that, in addition to the distance, is our best hope to make sure that we're protecting those neighbors from any adverse effects from the development. And then, as was mentioned on the lower side, the Type A buffer, because properties to the south we think will go in that commercial direction. And we are providing streetscape landscaping, which really takes out the sting of the parking. So whenever you go down Blackman Road, you don't see a sea of parking. The landscaping will basically take out the fronts of the cars and really soften that whole impact. And uses, as was mentioned, taking out any sort of drive-through component, major importance. Gasoline and fueling stations are out. And, those are challenging just in this location because of their use being more, they could be open late into the evening. We haven't committed any operating hours right now for the facility because we don't know exactly who the end user is going to be, but more than likely it'll be, professional services type of orientation, maybe open till 6 or 7 or 8 o'clock, but nothing into the late evening. Obviously, retail shops, tobacco parlor, those kind of things are not consistent with the neighborhood location. The liquor store was something we really went through, but at the end of the day, the client has agreed that we can remove that from the list just because that's another service that could be provided that the neighbors would probably respond to. And obviously schools, private schools, grades K through 12 are not acceptable at this location based on the size of the lot. However, the child care center we feel like would be a really good use that would service the neighbors, and we feel like if that would work out, right now they're in the process of trying to find a good fit from a child care franchise, something like that, but right now that's been a little bit more of a challenge getting that done. But that's the direction we're heading in, something very much neighborhood oriented so that it could service the surrounding homes to this development. If you have any specific questions for myself or Bill or Carrie, I'm here to answer anything out of the best of my abilities.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Roundtree.
Thank you.
Anything to add after that? Or you want me to just go and open the public hearing?
I'll wait. I got questions, but I'll wait till the public hearing. So.
Okay. All right. And with that, we will open the public hearing. You can now come forward and speak one at a time. You'll have 3 minutes each. If you'll please state your name and address for the record. And Reggie, will you keep the time for me?
Sure, I will.
Would anyone like to come forward and speak?
I think what I spoke about was regarding that, so I may have gotten that.
Interesting.
That is okay. That's noted. We
Okay,
still
all right,
heard it.
all right.
You're welcome to come up and speak again if you'd like.
Yeah, I mean, if we can pull up the drawing, if that's.
If you'll state your name and your address
sorry.
one more time for the
Yeah,
record.
Jared Gee, 5725 Eagle Mountain Drive. Are we able to pull up the drawing?
We can certainly try, yes. And if you'll just give us all of your questions, they'll answer them at the end.
Okay.
Or we'll work to get those answered.
Perfect. So, my understanding, if we're looking at this map, north of it, we're going to have another development. Is that correct?
To the east.
North and to the left, across from Shelton Square.
Yeah, across from Shelton
Across
Square.
the road.
So, I guess my question, like, that makes sense to me, right? That it's across the street. I guess over here, this is going to be like a domino effect. As soon as this development goes in, I got to imagine, just like across from Shelton Square, you're going to have a lot more development. Is that correct, or is that the plan?
We'll answer the questions at the end.
Oh,
of
sorry.
At the
Okay.
end.
All right.
Ask all your questions, and we're noting them. And
Okay,
then we'll
perfect.
ask your
Yep,
questions
sorry.
at the end.
And then, really, I mean, you can see with, my house is the one, I don't know if it's up on there, if you can show it again, sorry.
Is that weird seeing your house from
A
up here?
little bit, yeah. But I'm the house that is where that fence line is, where the bubble of the buffer is. So, again, a question for you guys is, if this was your house, would you want a development like this right behind you? That's more of a feely question. I know that's not probably the right question, but again, I just feel like there's just going to be a ton of traffic. I have 3 young kids. I'm concerned about their safety as well. And when it's approached that, hey, this is something that's good for the neighborhood, in my opinion, I don't think it is. I think, again, it's going to add congestion, safety issues, constraints, especially in my area. There's going to be lighting pollution that I'm really concerned about for my kids, and they're getting to bed on time. So there's a lot of things that I just am not excited and thrilled about with this development, and it seems that when they're talking about this, they think it's going to help, and I don't think it is. So those are my statements.
Okay, thank you. Would anyone else like to speak on this? Okay, seeing none, we will close the public hearing. I didn't know, Mr. Huddleston, if you wanted to speak during the public hearing.
I'll do it any way you want.
All right, come on up.
Thank you, Chair Everwater, members of the Planning Commission. I'm Bill Huddleston with Huddleston Steel Engineering. Excited to talk to you about this project and to address some of the neighbors' concerns. We did do a traffic generation study, and we generated traffic for the entire 14,000 square foot building. We're just showing 541 trips for an entire day. That's a fairly low traffic generator. If they divided this into more than 2 uses, say the 3 or 4 uses, they would be fairly small uses. So we feel good about that traffic generation situation, and we are committed to help with the overall improvement out there at Blackman Road by providing the design to extend that, those improvements that have been identified by the city. What they're constructing right now does stop just south of this property. As you know, we'll be coming back to you, hopefully, if this does get approved by City Council. We'll be coming back with detailed site plans to address the infrastructure and some of the other concerns that have been identified tonight. For example, we will have to provide stormwater calculations that show that we will not be increasing any stormwater leaving the property. In fact, when we use detention ponds and there might be some pervious pavers, the result is that less water actually leaves the property than it does now. I have checked the Shelton Square subdivision plats, and there are drainage easements directly adjacent to this property going both north and to the east. So we feel good about where that stormwater is going to go. Another item that we addressed during the planning process, the site plan approval process, is the lighting. That is something that we're always very careful about. We have to follow the city's rules, which means there'll be no more than half a foot candle spilling over any property line. So we provide a lighting and photometric plan that proves that. At this time, I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
I'm going to make a comment based off the lights. Sir, if you ever go to Siegel Soccer Park and look at their lights at Siegel Soccer Park to see how the light candle thing works, you can be on the field and in the light and step off the field and be in the complete darkness. So the light, it's not like old school street lights that are on and your whole light would be in the light. The new city's light ordinance, that light has to be pretty contained on per site. I had a question probably more for staff than Mr. Huddleston. Just for comparison's sake, can we look at the usages on the parks development compared to this development?
I guess my concern is cars, car lights and things like that as well. So.
We'll discuss that as well. Thank you. Are you asking about business park?
Yeah.
What was it? Business park?
Yeah.
You're saying compare the uses. Can we see the usage chart for the business park, which it's currently zoned as? That was my question as well.
So the business park is the future land use category.
No, I'm sorry. I'm talking about the other development that's already approved.
The
The
village.
villages.
We have different questions.
Yes, I have that question too, but I'm going a different direction first.
We could get that, but we'd have to go upstairs to.
If we send it to council, I would like that at council.
We could
But I had
certainly-
the same question as Chair Averwater as far as if this developed in the future land use plans, what are our uses then? What are we doing comparing uses with what it would be in the future land use plan compared to this plan?
Like, how does this compare to the business park
What are
category?
the current allowable uses in the business
If
park?
it was in the future land use.
Yeah, the future land use map.
Yeah, Richard, I can pull that up and get it on the screen for you.
Okay.
Thank you, Matthew.
And then I'll make another comment on the gentleman's look, I've sold places in Shelton Square. I've sold the townhomes over there. I've sold houses over there. And I don't want to take a shot at other realtors because that's not right. But anytime you buy a piece of property that's the property's behind you vacant, it can always, it's always the good thing to say, hey, it's going to be developed into something. As a connector road, I would anticipate exactly what you're saying. I mean, it's going to matter when those property owners bring them forward, but I would imagine some commercial creep, just like you're describing. And it doesn't matter if it would have started at the gas station and went that way, or started it that way and went back that way. But I would have anticipated commercial that whole stretch, no matter which direction you went.
Thank you, Sean. I want to touch on the allowable uses. Mr. Donovan, nothing with a drive-through, right? I know drive-through restaurants, but I'm even talking drive-through pharmacy. There'll be no drive-through.
And with that being called out specifically in the prohibited use, it's the drive-through not being allowed, period, no matter what the associated use is.
Perfect, not just restaurants, yeah. Because I noticed, I think a laundry center is on here as well, and those can sometimes have drive-throughs. Banks, right. Correct.
And whenever y'all are ready, I can have the cable department pull up my screen so that, there we go, so that y'all can
Thank you.
see what the comp plan says about business park.
That answers my question, Sean.
Yeah, I'm good.
Thank you, Matthew. You
Sure.
can put it back on the plan book. Okay, so I know we addressed stormwater and drainage, and lights, and then allowable uses. Can we talk more about the ingress and egress out of the development? Mr. Wright brought up that we are doing some improvements to that four-way light, but they will not reach this property, right? It'll stop just south of that.
That is correct.
And it's currently just a two-lane road.
It is currently 2 lanes, yes. There have been improvements made north of the site, and then the city's working on improvements south. There's going to be a little stretch in here that's not going to be improved.
Okay.
And as far as car light pollution to the houses, which buffer type did you say that was? Is it going to block the headlights from those cars?
It's D currently as it backs up to Shelton.
Type D is what backs up to Shelton Grove to the north.
Which is very dense. You can
It
see
is.
the
It also has an
3
option to
rows.
include a fence
I
as
think
well.
I'd want the fence there as well as the shrubbery, just because, I mean, until that shrubbery grows together, there's still going to be light. Once the fence goes in, the lights would at least get stopped by the fence.
Well, what fence are
I
you
think the
thinking?
fence would provide additional safety for the children as well.
Yeah, I think so too.
And
Are we talking surely not a black metal fence that won't?
No, like
provide? Are you talking
privacy or some type
vinyl?
of vinyl.
A vinyl fence?
Yeah.
Just standard 6 feet? Does the applicant have any thoughts on that?
The applicant thinks that's a great idea and has agreed to do that.
Sounds good.
Fantastic. Are we going to do it just on that northern border?
think it's just needs
Mr.
to-
Huddleston?
And because a fence can be used to reduce the number of plantings, would this fence be in addition to the full type D buffer?
Yes.
That would be
Okay.
my preference.
Yeah.
Commission?
Okay.
Yes.
Making sure that Mr. Huddleston and his team understand that.
We're okay on the east line also.
North and east, in addition to the type D buffering?
Yeah.
It's part of the type D, but it's an option in the type D buffering that includes the fence.
Well, I think they're saying that it would be in addition to the full type D buffer.
Shall we stop for commercial?
In the past, when this has come up, we pulled the shrubs out and leave the same amount of trees. Would that be okay?
The shrubs that are interior to the property?
Right.
And those are just like laurels or something?
Leland cypress or something.
Some kind of evergreen shrubs, yes.
So, Mr. Huddleston, you're saying change it from a type D to a type A, but with the fence?
So what I've circled on the screen, with it being included in the type D buffer, you're looking at the middle one, which has trees on either side of the fence. If it's,
And staggered?
yes, sir.
I'm okay with that.
So you would lose, okay. So that top tier, ultimately, the most exterior to the applicant's property would go away, and the fence would be in between
Yeah, in between the two.
the
rows.
staggered ones? Then it would be all, I mean, surely, Mr. Huddleston, can we, I think the more density, the better, when you look at the proximity of these homes to this property, and I'm very aware that the homes are also close to their property line as well. I'm sympathetic to the applicant with that, but, you know, can we keep the buffering very dense, but also add the fence?
Yeah, what I was thinking was we would do the number of trees that are in that dense type D buffer on top, just not the bushes, and have the fence there also.
Okay.
So option 1 instead of option 2.
Option 1, but not the bushes, and
Okay.
substituting the fence with the bushes.
Okay.
Substituting the fence for the bushes.
No bushes.
Yeah. Taking the little small bushes.
Yes.
Yeah, so
That makes sense for me then.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Thank you, Mr. Huddleston.
Thank you.
Can I ask you clarification? So will there be trees on my side of the lot?
Not on your property.
Not on my property, but there's
Sean.
trees and then a fence, correct?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I will get to that. Yep. Thank you, though. Mr. Donovan, you're saying that all the shrubs will be on their property, but the tree, all the buffering will be on the applicant's property, but the fence will just part the bushes, correct? So
Yes,
it'll be on our side.
that's what Mr. Huddleston's proposing. So the smaller circles there would go away, and then you would end up with a little more separation in the fence approximate in between with that red lawn. So you're going to end up with more tree plantings, no shrubs, and a fence.
Perfect. Yeah, great. Okay.
And if that's what y'all wish to do, then Mr. Huddleston and Mr. Roundtree would have to, rather than having these three options, would have to provide a detail in the revised pattern book showing that specific cross-section.
And just for future discussions, what is the property to the east of this on the future land use plan?
You're talking about the neighborhood that's under development, Shelton Square, just directly to the east?
Correct.
That's more
This
Shelton.
area?
That's more Shelton.
That's more Shelton Square.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I haven't got the names inverted, yes, it's Shelton.
Shelton something.
Shelton Square
Grove.
Shelton Square to the north and Shelton Grove to the east.
Okay. Shelton something. Fantastic. Okay, so
We're doing the same buffer on north and east.
North and east, but not the south.
Right. Not the south. We can
Not the
assume that the south is going to be more commercial. Assumption.
and it's currently type A.
Right.
Okay, so we touched on landscaping, we touched on the lights. Anything else from the Planning Commission for the applicant?
I'm good.
Motion to approve with the changes to the buffer that we discussed, subject to all staff comments.
Second.
Okay. That was a motion and a second. Ms. Jacob, please call the roll.
Mr. Harris?
Aye.
Mr. Rollins?
Aye.
Mr. Wright?
Aye.
Vice Chair Abelwater?
Aye, thank you. Next up, zoning application for approximately .72 acres located along Bridge Avenue to be rezoned from RS10 to P&D and to amend the existing P&D zoning for approximately 5.4 acres located along New Salem Highway and Bridge Avenue. We Go Public Transit is the applicant.
Well, good evening again. This particular application, as we mentioned last time, is looking at being tied to the city's planned institutional district, or PND. And within that particular district, get to the, there we go, map. The future land use showed that area as being a general commercial use is what's shown in that red highlighting, but this particular portion is the WeGo park and ride parcel, whereas this other area is our new transit facility that just opened off of Bridge and New Salem Highway. Our transportation department has been working with WeGo for a little over a year and a half, so as they've been constructing the site, they at least took into consideration how much drainage the property would need to tie into the site, and they also took a look at some of the tie-ins. So this particular map on your screen is the master plan for really the two sites, and this current one is the latest and greatest. We're working on their site plan review application, so we wanted to bring you the latest project. But here, where we have the bus turn-in, there's actually a sidewalk that comes down this side section and allows pedestrians to enter the site here, and it is anticipated that the WeGo bus would fit at this particular location within our bus canopies in the site. Additionally, they're looking at putting a sidewalk from the right-of-way that would come all the way into the site so that they could have ADA parking really on their south side, and then be able to access the site from here and directly over into that center median as part of the overall project site. What we did look at in that area is in order to make sure that we didn't have any issues on Bridge. You may recall the new TDOT project was finished, and out in the field there are, as you're traveling eastbound, actually 3 travel lanes. There's a separate left turn lane going northbound, a through lane that comes through that intersection, and then a separate right-hand turn lane. And so what you're seeing here on the site layout is some of that transition, and so we want to make sure to retain future ability for that right-hand turn lane to extend should it be necessary, and we wanted to make sure that there's enough of a throat distance here, so if somebody's parking close to this portion of the site, they're not going to back up or spill over onto Bridge. And then as our infrastructure team looked at it, they also wanted to make sure that they weren't trying to take a left into the site or a left out of the site because it's so close to the intersection. So with that, this particular project, those are the maps I was looking for. There was a church on the site that has been removed from the area, and the program book, we've received an updated book that's in your packet. Staff is still working on a couple of small tweaks, and there were 2 exceptions put in the program book. There was a 3rd exception. We weren't sure until yesterday whether it was needed or not. They're able to meet 21% open space on their site and won't need any consolidation between the 2 lots to meet that standard. However, they do have that sidewalk that's going to be directly on the property line. We want to make sure that they can allow more than 0.5 at that location, because you usually have to be about 5 feet off to be able to adequately light that sidewalk. So that is another exception that they are looking to the site. And then there's the other exception. Go to that page. And here's the overall site as we're looking at it. So every place where this red fencing is the separation between the 2 sites, and then here we'll be working on some slight modifications to how this is coming over from one area to another as we're finalizing their site plan. But the last exception, there we go, is remove the perimeter planting yard on the interior of the site. So in the program book, this particular diagram shows there's actually a property line here between the properties. Our normal city standard requires that they have perimeter plantings on all of those sides, but because the site is narrow, this site edge cannot fit that particular perimeter planting yard, and really we want the 2 sites to tie in better together and have better visibility in and through those sites. So we're requesting that that interior perimeter planting yard, which would normally be here, here, and here, not be provided, and only those sites that are shown here, which would be an 8-foot between this and the adjacent highway commercial use, and this larger 15-foot wide screening area between the right-of-way and the front of the project site. Access, here you can see how the passenger circulation will work with all of the green dotted lines. The bus transportation coming through the site in the blue areas, that's only for buses. No other vehicles can enter in that section. And then there also is some bike access into the site as well for the overall project plan. So with that, this particular request not only would have the RS8 zone district change to PND, but would also amend our existing planned institutional district, so it would become a total of 6.12 acres for the entirety of the site for the project. And then last but not least, they are putting in the landscaping islands in the project area, as well as, again, that heavier buffering on the front in exchange for losing that perimeter planting along their western frontage. So staff would recommend support of this rezoning request for the following reasons. One, the PND ties into the park and ride adjacent to the transit center, which enhances commuter viability for both WeGo and city transit. By including the park and ride in the PND, the two uses are better integrated together. The PND book and site layout accounts for the best implementation of crime prevention through environmental design. If you haven't heard of SEPTED, for maybe folks that are newer to the planning process. So we actually went out there in the field. We took a look at what was fencing, where we were putting it, gating, where we were putting it, where our existing security cameras are on the city site, and WeGo is planning on putting some security cameras as well on their site that we'll be finishing looking at as we're looking at their revised site plan that we just received the other day. And then the proposed use provides a needed service to the community, and it's compatible with the surrounding land uses. And last, it's consistent with the recommendations of the comprehensive plan, which talks about planned developments being a acceptable use in that area. So with that, we've noticed this as a public hearing. Should you have any questions, also WeGo rep is here. There is not a special PowerPoint, so that will be the end of the presentation unless you need any further information.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. All right. I will open the public hearing. Anyone who wishes to speak on this matter may come forward. You will have 3 minutes to speak. Please state your name and address for the record. Seeing none, I will close the public hearing. Beautiful. All right. Anything from council? If not, we will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve, subject to all staff comments.
Second.
Motion and a second. Ms. Jacob, please call the roll.
Mr. Harris.
Aye.
Mr. Rollins.
Aye.
Mr. Wright.
Aye.
Vice Chair Overwater.
Aye. Thank you. Motion passes.